At 5:04 a.m. on the 24th of March, 2025, two M30A2 guided rockets crossed the Ukrainian border carrying an execution order. Just 75 seconds later, they turned a temporary airfield in Russia's Belgorod region into hell. 4 Russian helicopters, 2 Ka-52 second, and 2 Mi-8 MTVs were incinerated in under 5 seconds. No sirens, no response, no chance of survival. This wasn't a conventional artillery strike. It was a strategic, preemptive blow, scouted, adjusted, and executed with surgical precision. The message was clear: nowhere is safe, not even deep inside Russian territory. At 4:59 a.m. on the 24th of March, 2025, at a concealed location near the city of Oktyrka, more than 25 miles from the Russian border, the command post of Ukraine's 27th Artillery Brigade received GPS coordinates from a reconnaissance UAV system operated by the Special Operations Forces. The data was confirmed. A temporary helicopter staging area in the rural western Belgorod region was holding at least 2 Ka-52 second and 2 Mi-8 MTVs. Ukrainian intelligence reported that Russia was preparing a low-altitude airborne raid, using Ka-52 second for fire support and Mi-8 second to transport GRU special forces into the Sumy or Bohodukiv areas, aiming to disrupt Ukraine's artillery command centers. A total of 4 helicopters were identified at the scene. 2 Ka-52 Alligators, Russia's main attack helicopters, armed with Vickers-1 missiles and 30mm cannons, had inflicted heavy losses on Ukraine in 2023. The 2 Mi-8 MTVs, typically used to transport special forces or airborne troops, often carried loitering munitions or electronic warfare equipment. All 4 aircraft were in the process of refueling and rearming, with no crews on board the most vulnerable phase of their combat cycle. More importantly, there were no short-range air defense systems protecting the site, and no combat units guarding the perimeter. The target location lay less than 20 miles from the Ukrainian border, well within missile range. In light of this, Ukraine's Forward Command issued a direct order: deploy the M142 HIMARS system, one of Ukraine's most mobile and precise assets, paired with M30A2 GMLRS rockets, equipped with fragmentation warheads. At 5:04 a.m., at a concealed artillery position nestled between 2 low hills in the Oktyrka region, approximately 26 miles from the Russian border, a HIMARS launcher, under the codename Operation Eagle 24 Asterix, was brought online. The strike team included 2 M142 HIMARS launchers, mounted on 6x6M11 40-wheeled chassis, camouflaged with thermographic mesh and terrain blending netting, enough to deceive high-temperature imaging and satellite surveillance. The 4-man fire crew consisted of 1 fire control officer, 1 navigation technician, and 2 artillerymen. All had locked into position and received real-time target coordinates from special operations units near the Belgorod airfield. The entire fire control system, including inertial guidance, the fire control computer, and satellite uplink, was encrypted and linked to a live tactical UAV feed tracking the target. Maximum authorized reaction time: 15 minutes from target confirmation. This time, Ukraine needed only 5 minutes and 18 seconds. At 5:03 a.m., just over 4 minutes after the strike order was issued, the fire mission was fully programmed. A semi-automatic firing configuration was set, with a single officer responsible for launch. Combat parameters were entered: firing azimuth 36.5 degrees northeast, launcher elevation 54 degrees, optimized for a quasi-ballistic trajectory. Weather: light easterly wind at 8.5 miles per hour. Ambient temperature 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Visibility 8 miles. The rockets used were M30A2 guided multiple launch rocket systems. among the most precise guided artillery munitions ever deployed in combat. An upgraded version of the M30A1, the M30A2, features an alternative warhead containing over 182,000 tungsten pyramid-shaped fragments, engineered to neutralize exposed or lightly camouflaged targets over a wide area. Instead of penetrating bunkers, the warhead produces a spherical kill zone with a radius of more than 330 feet, capable of obliterating any vehicle or personnel within its blast footprint. At 5:04 a.m., the fire control officer pressed the digital trigger. Two M30A2 rockets were launched, 1.66 seconds apart, following a 20 degrees offset pincer trajectory, approaching the target simultaneously from the northwest and southwest to overload radar response and maximize overlapping kill zones. Within the first 2.7 seconds, the rockets accelerated to nearly Mach 3 before leveling off at Mach 2.2 along a semi-ballistic flight path. To avoid detection by Russian low-altitude radars such as the Podlet K1 or Nebo-M, the HIMARS fired at low elevation, with rockets flying through turbulent atmospheric layers where moisture, temperature, and forest canopy reflections created a radar masking phenomenon known as ground clutter camouflage. Both M30A2 second remained invisible in this radar blind zone for 90 seconds, rendering them untrackable by Russia's surveillance network. Just over a minute later, the rockets crossed into Russian airspace over Belgorod Oblast. Distance to target, 11 miles. Velocity, approximately Mach 2.4 at low altitude. Estimated time to impact, 36 seconds. The inertial navigation system was continuously updated by a LEA-100 UAV, flying over 6,600 feet south of the target zone, fine-tuning the strike error margin to under 8 feet, enough to turn the entire helicopter staging area into ground zero. At 5:05 a.m., 7,500 feet from the target, both rockets switched to terminal attack mode, adjusting their dive angle to 38 degrees while maintaining speeds above 800 miles per hour, Mach 2.4, at low altitude. A single rocket would have been sufficient to wipe out the temporary landing zone, but Ukraine employed a dual strike protocol to ensure all 4 helicopters would be destroyed beyond recovery. This was not just a destruction strike, it was a strategic, preemptive blow aimed at crippling Russia's ability to establish an airborne breakthrough corridor from Belgorod into the Sumy-Kharkiv axis. At 5:06 a.m., the first M30A2 approached from the southwest, targeting the center gap between two Ka-52 second, each valued at over $16 million. The warhead carried 180,000 tungsten fragments dispersed by a directional fuse, creating a mushroom-shaped kill cone with a 230-foot radius capable of destroying anything in its blast zone. With overpressure and shrapnel shock, a massive explosion followed instantly. Overpressure at ground zero exceeded 50 psi, enough to tear apart the fuselage of Ka-52 No. 1, sending its main rotor flying over 130 feet. Ka-52 No. 2, hit by the side blast, was flipped and had its tail boom sheared off. Its engine ignited within 12 seconds. Just 2 seconds after the Ka-52 second were destroyed, the second M30A2 approached the northern edge of the airfield, where 2 Mi-8 MTVs were parked less than 40 feet apart. This rocket did not hit the ground. It was programmed for an airburst detonation at 30 feet above the surface. From the detonation point, a reversed conical shock wave erupted downward, striking the nose of Mi-8 No. 1, which had its side door open for mounting an S-8 rocket pod. The blast instantly buckled the forward fuselage, visibly deforming its structural frame. Overpressure exceeded 50 psi, rupturing the aircraft into dozens of flaming debris shards scattered outward in chaotic radial trajectories. Within 0.8 seconds, Mi-8 No. 2 caught fire from incoming shrapnel. A secondary explosion followed, nearly 3 times larger than the first. A fireball, nearly 70 feet in diameter, erupted. The cockpit door was blown off and landed nearly 200 feet away. The main rotor, weighing close to 660 pounds, was torn from the shaft and dropped straight through the tin roof of a nearby maintenance hangar, collapsing part of the structure. The entire parking area, over 260 feet long, was now nothing but a field of flames and charred metal wreckage. From a makeshift Ukrainian command shelter 20 miles away, a special operations unit monitored the entire strike via infrared cameras and short-range satellite links. White-hot blobs expanded across the screen, quickly turning orange, indicating ground temperatures exceeding 1470 degrees Fahrenheit at the detonation center. At 5:06 a.m., just 31 seconds after the final blast, Russian ground radar near Belgorod detected abnormal electromagnetic disturbances, but it was already too late. By the time the system registered the sudden high-pressure zone, all 4 helicopters had been incinerated, and the Ukrainian HIMARS unit had already withdrawn from its launch site. At 5:06 a.m., UAV imagery confirmed rotor fragments, landing gear, and steel underbelly panels scattered across a radius of over 330 feet. A piece of a Ka-52's tail fin was embedded in a spare fuel drum, still smoldering more than 40 minutes later. From a coordination post near Bilopilia, a steady voice came through the encrypted channel. Target group neutralized. Heat signature dropped. Area saturated. 5 minutes after the strike, a Russian fire and reconnaissance unit was dispatched from a rear garrison 3 miles away. But upon arrival, they found only scorched metal and a 660-foot smoke column still rising. No survivors to rescue, no aircraft left to recover. At 5:30 a.m., the Russian Operational Command in Belgorod ordered a temporary freeze on all forward helicopter operations, including air support missions for Sumy and Kharkiv, both in final preparation for a counteroffensive. For the first 3 hours, Russia's Ministry of Defense made no official statement. Military news channels offered only a vague line. An unidentified explosion occurred near a northern rear logistics area. By noon, commercial reconnaissance satellites began releasing infrared imagery of the scene, clearly showing thermal patterns consistent with a precision-guided rocket strike, a fan-shaped fragmentation pattern characteristic of an M30A2 GMLRS warhead. Shortly afterward, Russian authorities officially acknowledged minor material damage at a temporary airfield. No mention of casualties, no admission of aircraft losses, but independent imagery analysis quickly revealed the full scale of destruction. 4 airframes completely burned, including 2 Ka-52 attack helicopters and 2 Mi-8 MTV's core platforms for Russian airborne raids, reconnaissance missions, and ground fire support along the Kharkiv-Sumy axis. The airfield hit Belgorod Field Base was one of 3 key Russian forward deployment hubs in the east. Its destruction, along with attached fuel and ordnance stocks, led to a 10-12-day disruption in Russia's low-altitude air support operations, a tactical gap in the Belgorod-Sumy defensive corridor, a forced delay in Russia's planned territorial expansion northwest of Kharkiv. This was not merely a single military event, but clear proof of a shift in modern warfare, where precision weapons like HIMARS can tip the balance of power. Strengths of the strike. Asterisk. Asterisk. Technical precision and execution speed. Asterisk. Asterisk. The attack demonstrated the surgical accuracy of the HIMARS system. With a margin of error under 8 feet and a wide area kill zone from the tungsten warhead, the system eliminated the target without the need for additional firepower. The time from target confirmation to impact was just 5 minutes and 18 seconds, well under the 15-minute maximum reaction time, showcasing perfect coordination between UAV intelligence, special operations, and artillery. This highlights the shoot and scoot capability of HIMARS, with launchers mounted on wheeled chassis that can quickly relocate before Russian radar can respond. Economic and strategic effectiveness. Asterisk. At a cost of under $10 million for two M30A2 rockets, Ukraine inflicted over $50 million in damage, 2 Ka-52 second, worth roughly $32 million combined, and 2 Mi-8 second, worth about $16 million. This 1-to-5 cost-to-damage ratio proves HIMARS to be a true game-changer, especially in asymmetric warfare. Strategically, the strike blocked a planned Russian airborne raid, created a gap in the Belgorod-Sumy corridor, and forced Russia to delay its counter-offensive, giving Ukraine a temporary window to reinforce its defenses. Psychological and informational impact. Asterisk. The message, "Nowhere is safe," was delivered loud and clear, undermining Russian morale and forcing them to divert resources to protect rear areas. UAV and commercial satellite imagery publicly exposed the extent of the destruction, despite Russia's initial denial, creating global
weaknesses and
media
challenges.
pressure.
Asterisk. Lack of immediate independent verification. Asterisk. Although Ukraine released UAV footage, Russia's vague response, an unidentified explosion, and the absence of official attribution reduced initial credibility. Independent sources, such as commercial satellites, only confirmed the strike hours later, highlighting the persistent issue of misinformation in conflict. Risk of escalation. Asterisk. A deep strike inside Russian territory could provoke a strong reaction. As seen with reports of Russia deploying Pantsir S-1 air defense systems and low-altitude radar to temporary bases, a strategic shift without precedent. While this may divert Russian resources away from the front lines, it also increases the risk of escalation. Technical limitations. Asterisk. Despite effective radar evasion, HIMARS relies heavily on accurate intelligence. Any error could lead to mission failure. Furthermore, the limited number of systems, due to Western supply constraints, forces Ukraine to be highly selective with target prioritization. The 24th of March, 2025 HIMARS strike was a strategic masterpiece, destroying 4 Russian helicopters and delivering a powerful message. Analysis shows that beyond the material losses, it had a profound impact on the balance of forces. In the 21st century, just a few minutes, a handful of guided rockets and a small HIMARS team can change the course of a battlefield, a new reality in long-range warfare.